All right, here's page 1. Percent means per 100 or out of 100. That's fine too. For the second one, this is 55%. Decimal is 0.55. The fraction is 55 out of 100. Or you could choose to reduce this. You don't have to, but you can if you want. And if you reduce it, it's 11/20. And as a ratio of 55 to 100. Any questions with that? Okay, 3, 4, and 5. You should get for number 3, 3/5. The percent for 4/5 is 80%. And the whole quantity is 100% or 5 out of 5. Any issues there? Now on tomorrow's test or Tuesday's test, all of these wind up being 3 points each. These are like part 1 questions. And then same thing with here. These also are 3-pointers. We don't get to 6-pointers until we get to full word problems. 40% is obviously the percent. 75 students is everybody, so that's the whole. And the part you're trying to find is the part. Okay, double line diagram. It doesn't matter whether you want to call the top line percent or the bottom line percent. We'll do bottom. And that's going to make the top students. Percent always goes from 0 to 100. So you always want to do that first. And then based on how many lines you see in between 0 and 100 will determine what you're counting by. So what are you counting by? Counting by sneezes. No, what are you counting by? No. The percent is not 15.
Oh, you're counting by 20.
Right.
20.
Okay. Now we know that there's a total of how many students? 10. So that's going to go here. And now you got to figure it in your head. 0 to 75. Well, how do you divide 75 equally into 5 lines? What do you have to count by? Domain. Right. So now you go back to the question, and they're telling you that 40% state that they buy lunch. Well, so you find your 40%, and its corresponding number or quantity is 30 students. And that's how you can do it using a double line diagram. I think there's one question on Tuesday's test where they ask you to use a double line diagram. Everything else is you pick your strategy that works best for you. Number 7 is TRF. What I want you guys to try to do is figure out whether what they're asking for, and if they're asking for a percent or if there's a percent in the, look to see if there's a percent being given in the question. Look for the percent symbol. If you don't see it there, that means they're not giving you a percent. So they're not giving you a percent. Now you've got to look for a part to whole ratio. And in this case, it's 3 out of 5. They're asking you to find the percent. So that's the missing value in the ratio, percent over 100. Do we need to reduce? Do we need to reduce? Multiplying by what number then? Just shout it out.
20.
And And if you do that to the top part of the ratio, you get 60% as your answer. 60% is red. And that's done. 10 by 10 grid showing 60%. Most of you are fine with that, if not all. 6 rows. Okay, changing any fraction to a decimal. I think the trick is to remember who's inside the house and who's outside the house. I learned it in 6th grade. Once you make your fraction, extend the roof of the house just like this. Now I know 8's outside and 3's inside. It's a little trick my 6th grade teacher taught me. Maybe it comes in handy for you. Because if you reverse it, I can't give you even partial credit. Okay? If you do 3 into 8.00, your answer is not even going to be close to being accurate. 8 into 30. How many times? Just say it out loud, guys. It's quicker. 8 into 60. Still not done because it's got to terminate or repeat. 8 into 40.
5.
You wind up with 0.375 as your decimal. Who remembers what is the rule for changing a decimal to a percent? Seal. Correct. The decimal that was here leaps twice to the right, and then add your percent symbol. Question?
I don't have a question. I didn't.
This? All right, I'll talk to you in a minute. Look at the question. Do you see a percent being given at all? Yes or no, Lil? No, not in this case. So we have to do a part to whole. Dr. Davis gave eye exams to 40 patients. Is that the part or the whole? Okay. That is then going to make 10 as the part. You're trying to figure out what percent that is. You don't have a percent, but you always have at least the bottom part of a percent, which is 100. And what you're trying to find, the percent, is what we're trying to figure out. Can't figure out 40 into 100. Doesn't go in evenly, so we're going to reduce this to 1 over 4 equals blank over 100. Multiplying by what factor, everybody? Times 25 will work. And that's going to give you 25% with less than perfect vision. Let me ask you this. If 25% have less than perfect vision, what percent has perfect vision? That's something you should be able to do readily in your head without having to do TRF. Kelly, 75%, because the two quantities have to add up to 100. You either have perfect vision or you don't. All right. Number 10. Number 10 is wordy, but it's still part to whole ratio. Same thing. Do you see a percent? And if so, what is it? Karen? Right. As soon as you see that, you have one entire ratio. Now, let's just say I don't know where to put this 24. Let's say I don't know if it's part or whole. If you get stuck and you don't know, look at the question and see what it is that you're trying to find. If I go to the very next sentence, what was the original price of the game? I now know that I'm trying to find what? Part or whole? I'm trying to find this. So 24 has to be my part. Seal.
You only get to like 6 point question. Is this a 6
These are now 6, yep. Because you're getting points. You're getting partial credit for just being able to set it up. If your setup is good, you get 3 points. Point, point, point. And then your answer, your actual math calculation and knowing what to multiply by, that's 3 points. Which includes that 3 points, this answer is knowing that you've got to reduce this. Okay, because this and this doesn't work neatly. So what do you have to reduce 30 over 100 to? Leah? 3 over 10. That will now help us to see what to multiply by to get from here to here, which is, shout it out, times 8. Don't forget that number. It's going to come in handy down here, as you'll see. And you wind up getting an original price of $80 is good. All right. Sale price after the discount. What do you have to do to figure that out? All right, Matthew, go.
Just subtract 24 by 80. And then you get, wait, 6.
He's right.
56.
Okay, and that's done. Here's how it looks on the double line diagram. Percent is always the same to start, 0 to 100. The line is divided into tenths. So I'm counting by tens. I want you to remember that the quantity that we're trying to find, the original amount, which belongs here, if we did not do TRF, this is the value we're trying to find, so we've got to leave that blank because we're not supposed to know that yet. What I do know, if I look back at the original problem, is that 30% saves me $24. So I find my 30%, and that becomes 24. So my next question, here's 0, here's 24. What do I need to count by? 8, 16, and 24 will work. Kev? Okay, Kev. That's where this 8 comes in over here. When you find out what that's called our mathematical constant, when you reduce this fraction, and then whatever number you multiply by to get to the new fraction, that's what you count by on the top part of your double line diagram. And if you forget that, that's okay. You just got to figure out between 0 and 24, I need to break that up into thirds, which is counting by 8. So now if I continue to do that, because I've got to figure this out, well, I would hope that you know. What do you get, Matt?
90.
Oh, Matthew.
What? What?
It's got to be 80, buddy, because it's 80 in the TRF. It's got to be the same value. Oops, $80. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to do 11 through 17. I'm just going to pause this, and I'll put the remaining answers on the block site over the weekend. Okay? Group up and go. Okay, here's number 11. Remember to scan the question, look for any percents. If you see a percent, you know you have an entire ratio that you could use in your template ratio find. We have a key number here, which happens to be the original, which is going to indicate to us that's the whole or bottom part of the ratio. And the how much will I save is the part that we're looking for. So we now have all of the pieces to put into our template ratio find, part over whole. Our percent is going to be 40 over 100 equals what we're trying to find, the part of the whole 120. Now we need to reduce this fraction, and we can drop a 0 off the numerator and denominator, and that will give us a number that will go into 120 nice and evenly. Now you could also reduce that all the way to 2/5, but as long as you have a number that we can multiply evenly by, we're okay. In this case, it's times 12. And you wind up saving $48. And that is the answer for number 11. Okay, let's take a look at number 12. We see 80% here. We know we can use that as our first ratio, 80 over 100. Now with this question, you can't tell right off the bat that this 20 minutes is going to actually wind up being the part. So you have to sometimes read the entire question. And when you get to how many minutes will Keon jump in all, this in all indicates that we are looking for the whole. So that's going to make the 20 minutes the part. We have to reduce this to simplest form, which is 4 over 5. And we will get our answer by multiplying both by 5, and the whole amount, in this case the total time that he's jumping rope, is 25 minutes. And that takes care of 12. 13. Once again, we see 75% here. So we know we have one complete ratio, 75 over 100. $28 shirts in total indicates that that is the whole, the bottom part of our ratio. And out of that, 75% of them were large. We have to figure out this number. How do we do that? We've got to reduce our fraction to the simplest form. Sorry, 3 over 4 equals blank over 28. It gives our multiplicative constant as times 7. And then 3 times 7 is 21 shirts being large. Okay, let's look at 14. 14 pretty much still follows that same pattern. We have a percent in the word problem. Regularly costs 45 as a key item. How much money will she save as being the item we're trying to find? 20% becomes our first ratio, 20 over 100. The whole amount is 45. And what we're trying to find is the money saved, which is part of the whole. You have to reduce this to 1 over 5. And we find out that we create that equivalent ratio by multiplying both top and bottom by 9. 1 times 9 gives us a savings of $9. Number 15. More of the same. We have our discount. $20 CD. And we're trying to find the discount. Reduces to 3 over 10. Have to multiply by 2. And the discount is $6. And then they take it a step further and want to know what the sales price is after the discount, so you have to subtract. 20 is the original, take away the discount, and you wind up with $14 is what she's going to pay for the CD after her discount. Now, when we got to lesson 28, we found out that with 28, the traditional part-to-whole template ratio find system is a little different, because in some cases, if they give you both this and ask you to try to find a percent, or they give you just this and this, in other words, they're only giving you 2 out of 4 items, you have to such as something like this, where you have discount over full price. Sometimes you'll find that you'll only have 2 out of 4 values needed, and you need 3 out of 4. So we varied this. We varied this, and we created this formula here for the remaining problems. And as long as you know what the percent paid is, the sale price and the original price, or the sale price or the original price, you could find the missing value. So here's kind of how it works. The teenager bought the latest video game on sale for $40 and paid 80% of the original price. When we see sale for $40, that becomes the sales price. He paid 80% of the original price. So the percent he saved on the video game is 20%. But as you'll see, we're not going to need that value in this case, because we will have what we have in the amount he paid percentage-wise and the actual sale price. So when we set this up, we use the formula that is found on the previous page. It's percent paid over 100 equals sales price, which I'm going to abbreviate, over original price. And now we're just going to plug in our given values. Our percent paid is 80 over 100. And our sale price is 40. Now we could reduce this, but we still, as is right now, we can see that if we multiply 40 times 2, we get what we need. Or if you go this way, you're dividing by 2. So if you do the same thing to your 100, you're going to get an original price of $50. And that's the number that we need. Well, to figure out the amount that you saved, you have to take the original price and subtract the sales price, and you'll get $10. And that is our answer for how much you saved. Now let's take a look at the next one, which is going to use the same formula. All right, we need this. We need this. We're going to need this because percent paid is part of the formula that we have to use. So in this case, we have to realize, oh, if he's saving 20%, then the amount he's paying is 80%. And that's the value we need for the equation to work. So we set it up like we did in the last one. Percent paid over 100. Equals sale price over original price. We're going to substitute our value in. Percent paid is now 80 over 100. The sale price was 600. And they're asking us to find the original price, which we don't know. Going to reduce this. Continuing on this side here, it becomes 4 to 5 equals 600 over what we're trying to find. And using division, we realize that 4 times 150 gets us to 600, so we're going to do the same thing to this. And we determined that our original price is $750. Finally, the amount that he saved is going to be the original minus the sales price, and he saves $150. And that concludes the review packet that we did in class. I'm also going to upload the take home, but that's just going to be an answer key, more or less. There won't be any audio. It'll actually just be a document that you can download and even print if you need to, that has all of the answers with the work shown, and that'll be on the next blog post following this one. Test will be Tuesday.